Hello to all of our friends out there in YouTube land. It is your good buddy Philtastic Phil, and joined with me is my beautiful wife.
Hi.
And welcome back to the channel. So today's video is a little bit differently. If all goes as planned, you'll be watching this on December 31st, 2023, the last day of 2023. I've noticed, of course, everybody likes to do best of and worst of lists and stuff like that. Rather than do that, I wanted to do something a little bit different. In the vein of Oprah, no, I'm not giving anybody cars. I'm going to tell you 10 of my favorite things, comic book wise, and one non-comic book, but I'll throw that in here, of 2023. And this is unplanned. My wife is going to weigh in on this. So we'll see, because I know that there's at least 2 things in here that she's going to challenge me on. But let's get started. So right off the bat, I should, before we get into it actually, I should say this. You might notice that there is a lack of anything DC Comics related on this list. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I currently don't have any DC Comics in my polls. I will say this, I have subscribed this past year to the DC Infinite service, so I do read some DC on my iPad, and I have gotten, or purchased, I should say, you received a few current DC comics, but none of them really resonated with me. So maybe I'm reading the wrong DC books. So if you are a DC Comics fan and there's something that I totally missed this past year, or there's something you think I should be looking into, let me know. And use the hashtag Road to 1K, and you'll be getting a entry into our 1K giveaway. If you don't know what we're talking about, then you really have to go back and watch some videos. You know, and even if you, let's say there's no DC, just put hashtag Road to 1K and I'll give you one anyway, just so everybody gets to play. So right off the bat, number 1, one of my favorite things 2023 is writer Ben Percy. He has been, in my mind, the one consistently great thing about the current Krakoan X-Men age. He's currently writing Wolverine and X-Force, which he's been doing a tremendous job on. I honestly think his Wolverine is the best since Larry Hama. And he's also writing Ghost Rider. I just recently read the Wolverine Ghost Rider crossover. It was a great series, a little bit of a 90s nostalgia, but going back a little bit further. It's hard to explain. He's made all of these characters, you know, even the X-Force characters, really interesting again, and just very well thought out and well done. It almost feels like, especially in Wolverine and X-Force, each issue is more like a small action movie. So, honey, you have not read any Ghost Rider, Wolverine, or X-Force this year.
Ghost Rider.
You hate Ghost Rider in general, but you haven't read any Ben Percy Ghost Rider, correct?
Judging from that movie,
That has nothing to do with the film.
Yeah, but
she's talking about the Nicolas Cage movie from 2007. But
that pretty much turned me off to anything Ghost Rider.
You have actually not read, but
no.
You are familiar with one piece of Ben Percy's work. I don't think you particularly liked it. I don't think you might remember it. Do you remember way back before COVID when we were driving and I was playing for you?
We were?
Yes. Marvel had some sort of a deal with Stitcher where they had somebody narrating one of their stories, and I played, I think, a little bit of Wolverine: The Long Night for you.
I don't remember that.
Okay. That was written by Ben Percy.
Was that like a century ago you're talking, or?
It just feels like it. Okay, so moving on. And I should warn you, because I know CJ in particular is going to comment on this if he sees this video, I don't know, about the X-Men on here. CJ, there's only 3 X-Men related things in here, and the second one is coming up right now. Hellfire Gala 2023. I've been a fan of the concept of the Hellfire Gala since they launched it. This was the 3rd one, the annual kind of big party, I guess you could say, for the Krakoan X-Men. The first one served as kind of a mutant murder mystery, and it also kind of bridged together a little bit of, I shouldn't say, well, it was the introduction of Arakko. You know, X-Men had terraformed Mars, and it was kind of the official kind of coronation of the X-Men in the current universe. And I guess if you've been reading the Krakoan X-Men, you kind of know that's kind of when things started going really wrong for them as far as the rest of the world goes. This one, and I'll be honest, last year's was meh. It was a one-shot. It was kind of boring. You get, the only thing I could really remember from it is that you saw Inferno, which itself was just, kind of start. This one quite quickly started with a bang, and you could see this is the beginning of the end of the Krakoan Age. Spoilers. Bunch of people killed, Juggernaut absolutely manhandled, and most of the X-Men just kind of lost right now. Honey, I know I did a read-along, if you remember, with the Hellfire Gala.
Yeah, I remember that.
I had an episode where my sister Pam commented on the fashion of the Hellfire Gala.
How long ago was that?
Just a couple months ago.
That was summer, right? July?
Yeah. Probably around then.
Yeah. That was a
So
while
what
ago.
do you have any thoughts or opinions on the Hellfire Gala 2023? Did you watch that episode? I
did, yeah.
Okay, so what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I remember that because I was still pregnant, and I remember
Other
your
than-
sister commenting on the outfits and whatnot.
But the actual story itself, remember I did the read-along? I think it was right after that.
Yeah, I do remember that, but I don't remember all the details.
Do you have any impressions of it at all?
I mean, I enjoyed it. It was entertaining.
Okay. All right, so number 3.
What was that?
What? I mean, like, what are your thoughts? I don't remember, but it was enjoying.
No,
What did you enjoy?
I didn't say I don't remember.
I don't remember all the details.
Remember all the details. There's a difference.
Is there anything that you remember from that maybe that sticks out in your mind?
The outfits that your sister was reviewing.
Yeah, I meant the actual
No.
event. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Did you watch the read along where it was showing on the screen? And remember, I was reading the whole thing. It was like, oh, they're dead. They're dead.
Yeah, I do, but like I said, not every detail. It was like July you're talking.
Okay.
That was how many months ago? We're in December.
I understand.
Crying
And
out
you
loud.
were fighting pregnancy hormones. I got you.
Yes. Yeah. I have
Hormones.
pregnancy brain too.
Yeah. I'm grabbing my iPad to kind of jag my wife's memory on this. Number 3 on my list. Again, one of my favorite things in 2023. Limited series from Scott Snyder, Barnstormers. This was a refreshing limited series that it's not superhero related. It's, I guess you could say, a little bit of crime, kind of a Bonnie and Clyde type of flair, a little bit of a PTSD kind of thing in there. But just one of my favorite stories I've read in recent memory. Beautifully written and beautifully, I don't know if the word is painted or illustrated or drawn by, I'm looking up the
Illustrated.
artist's name, Tula Latoy. And just the way that she did the work on this, it's a painterly quality, whether it's drawn or not. It gave you the look and feel like you were watching an old classic movie like Gone with the Wind or something along that. Now this was printed by Dark Horse Comics. It was a short series. I think it was only 3 issues, if I'm not mistaken. It is something I recommended to my wife that she might like it. She hasn't read it. Do you remember us talking about it at all?
What is it?
Barnstormers.
No.
I'll show you this was the cover to number 1.
Oh, I remember the cover.
I was explaining the story to you. Remember the following the, what was it, World War I think, probably World War II. No, high flying World War I adventure story, 1918. Some of the pilots, to earn extra money, they would do air shows where they would fly through open barn doors in their biplanes, and they had people and they did this great in the series. There was a scene where they were like dancing on the wings as they're flying.
I don't remember that.
Well, again, it was a great read. It's not even here. I'm looking at the official description from Dark Horse. The Bonnie and Clyde romp begins to get. Oh, well, that's just the only thing it says here. Here, I'll read the description to you. Maybe this will jog you. A high-flying World War I adventure story that's an intimate portrait of love and war and a meditation on the dangerous level of trust required in both romance and aviation. It's 1918, the early days of the barnstorming era, when pilots competed with each other by performing deadlier and more dangerous feats, as we've never seen before. Makes more sense. Pilot John Barron is back from the front lines of the war where he was injured. At 18 years old, he's an adventurer who lives his life traveling from town to town in his plane, entertaining folks across the world.
Okay, but how does that tie in?
What do you mean, has it time?
How does it tie into your top 10?
It's one of the things I really liked in 2023 was the Barnstormer series.
That was one of the ones that you listed?
Yes, number 3.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Okay, this is one I think that you're really not going to know. Number 4 for 2023. An X-Men character. I don't know if you're familiar with her, honey.
No, probably not.
She is a classic character, but she's been around for a while, and she's really been one of those characters who's really gone through a great transformation during the Krakoan Age. More so in the first year. Second year, she was kind of quiet, but kind of the I guess you could say, fallout of the Hellfire Gala. She's taken on a dramatically different direction that makes total sense, and it's really, I think, helped the character tremendously. Really made her a badass. Kitty Pryde.
Oh, yeah.
You remember her?
Yep.
Okay, do you remember me telling you about the story right after the Hellfire Gala? So something that you don't know, Wolverine is known to, from time to time, mentor younger X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Jubilee was one of them. The first one, however, really was Kitty Pryde back when she was younger. She was kind of his buddy during the Wolverine Limited series before the series came out, where they traveled to Japan and she was captured by a samurai. And he in that story, she got a little bit of samurai and ninjutsu training, but they really have kind of rarely went back to that before. So this is the first time we're really seeing her kind of dial in to those powers on a regular basis. I could tell you the issue of X-Men following the Hellfire Gala, she was a complete, we're saying like Kill Bill level badass. And it wasn't like your typical no killing type of thing. Like, she was really giving it to them. So, honey, this is what she's looking like now. Do you remember us discussing that?
I remember the character, I don't remember that.
Remember me telling you a little bit about what the story and everything?
Very little.
Any opinion?
About?
What we were, Kitty Pryde?
No.
Okay. I feel like I might be, I'll give you the Hellfire Gala, so we're 1 for 4. Oop.
That's what you get.
As I break my stuff.
That's what you get.
Okay. Number 5. One of my favorite things of 2023, and this is a series many have spoken about. I know that you're going to be familiar with the name at least. Junkyard Joe.
Yes.
Yeah. Great series. Great story.
I remember that.
About PTSD.
You were showing it off.
And, part of this bigger universe that Jeff Johns is building within Image Comics. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't so keen into jumping into Junkyard Joe when the series was announced, because I was like, all right, I don't want to read another expansive universe, world building type of thing. But I have to say, he really did a tremendous job with this story. It's a story about not only veterans, again, about PTSD, about getting over things from your past. It's really quite interesting. But one of the things and one of the reasons that this has made my favorites of 2023 list is because throughout the issue, I shouldn't say throughout the issue, at the end, and at least in one other part, I want to say at the beginning of each issue, there's a whole, not just an advertisement, but a little message about the Wounded Warrior Project. If you've watched my channel before, you know that one of the issues I tend to run into with the big two, Marvel and DC, is they'll do these variants. They'll say, okay, like February is going to be Black History Month. There will be 500 different variants, probably easily between both companies, and I'm including like the 1 in 100 and 1 in 50 incentives, and they'll sell a lot of issues, but there's no indication, and I've gotten no answers anytime I've asked, that either company is donating towards these causes. Here, Jeff Johns has said, not only am I donating, I believe, a portion of the funds to the Wounded Warrior Project. I could be wrong on that, I don't know. But he's doing his part to at least spread the word, encouraging others to take action. And that speaks volumes about Jeff Johns in my book. I've never met him. I don't know that I'm going to a con anytime soon, probably not. But I hope to meet him one day and say to him, wow, you know, that head and shoulders above a lot of creators. The only other...
The shampoo? Head and shoulders?
Yeah, thank you. I'm going for a really good point. She's like,
it's been a long, exhausting night. Okay, give me a break. I'm just trying to make it more comical, I guess.
Okay. I was going to say, the only other person I've known who actively collects for veterans and charities while at cons is Larry Hama. I don't know that Marvel let him, I don't know that he asked, but I've never seen him publish anything further in his stories about, hey, you should do this, or donate to a veteran today, blah, blah, blah. What are your thoughts on Junkyard Joe? You didn't read any of it.
I didn't read any of it, so I have no opinion about it.
Okay. All right. Number 6. This is one I've spoken to you about before, you're a little meh on. It's a rather new series. I think there's only 2 issues out right now. And I'm going to give you an honorable mention on this too. Rare Flavors.
What?
Rare Flavors, to me, was a rare treat. I really loved...
I never heard of you mentioning this before.
Yes, we'll go into it. First of all, you probably go back into the lives and see me talking about it with you sitting where you are. But I'll say this. I was skeptical because I'm not a big fan of Ram V, the writer. But I heard about this, and actually the runner-up from Marcus on the Indie Comics Review channel. And I don't know, there was something that just seemed interesting to me. And basically, it ties it into some sort of, I think, Indian mythology, where you following this is the beginning scene, you see this really kind of big husky-looking guy. To tie it back to X-Men, I guess you could say. I think of Shadow King. That was the first thing that jumped in my head. Looking at this big picture, which again I think is from Indian mythology, of this hero slaying this creature, and you realize quickly that the creature is actually this big guy, and he was not slayed, he was beaten though. And he basically wants to film this documentary about delicacies and whatnot around the world, but he of course has a rare twist on it, and you have some demon hunters, I guess you could say, on his trail. But one of the things, not only is it, think of kind of like an evil version of Bourdain, almost. But one of the things that kind of strikes me, and I read it a couple times. First, the artwork, phenomenal on this. Really works with the story. I don't know, well, here, I could look it up. I was going to say, I don't know off the top of my head who the artist is, but I'm going to show the picture to you too. Maybe that'll jog your memory. But while this is coming up, what I was about to say, I think that it's kind of interesting how Ram V made us not only made a evil creature for all intensive purposes as the main focus of this story, but actually you find yourself at least kind of by the first issue, I'm not going to say rooting for him, but like, oh wow, I really want to see what he's going to do next in this. Remember I showed this to you? Any opinion on it?
I never really read it, so.
I know I explained it to you. I think I showed you a couple of the interiors. I don't think you were a fan of it, to be honest with you. But yeah, I have the second issue downstairs. I just haven't read it yet. and eagerly awaiting for future issues.
Eager. Wow.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. That's why it's on the top 10
But that's number 6?
on my list. Yeah.
Now, is that like from your least or most favorite to least favorite?
No, I should say it's. Yeah, these aren't in any order. These are in the order that they popped into my head.
Because I thought it was from most favorite to least.
No.
Like one being the most favorite, and then down from there.
No.
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 Hmm?
Honorable mention is Art Brute. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of description on it because I actually haven't finished the series yet. Learned about it from the same. Excuse me, from the same channel.
Oh, you're choking up.
Yes.
It's okay.
But yeah, it's just, and the other reason it's honorable mention is just because I haven't finished it yet. But the first issue, or I should say, what I have read did not hit me as hard as the first issue of Rare Flavors.
How did it hit you? Did it hurt?
Yes. Okay, moving on. Number 7 on our list. Again, this is in no particular order. This is something you can comment on.
Okay.
Well,
that's a first.
So for this one, I wanted to spotlight my favorite comic-related.
I wish we had a spotlight right now above you right now.
That makes no sense.
That would make it so funny.
My favorite comic-related streaming series, I have to say, this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say, and I had to think about it because I watched a lot. I watched The Boys.
WandaVision? No.
That wasn't this year.
Oh, wow. Wait a minute. That
Yeah.
was when?
I
Last
should
year?
say this. There were a couple things I really wanted to talk about. Like, under DC, I was going to read that I did read Volume 1 of and enjoy the Dark Knights of Steel, I think it's called. But I didn't realize it's from a couple of years ago. Same thing with The Last Ronin.
Yeah.
And Guardian of Fukushima. But I'll say this. Best streaming show, comics-related show, in my opinion, 2023, Loki Season 2.
Oh.
You know, you talk about a true path of redemption for a character with just masterfully done. You know, if there was anything bad I have to say about it, is that I felt like a lot of the characters that we got to know in season 1 kind of took a back seat, but it worked.
Do you think it was better than WandaVision?
No, I still enjoy WandaVision the most out of the Marvel series.
That was what year?
19, I think. 19 or 20.
No, 20.
20, you're right, 20.
Wow.
You know, I don't know if this means this is the end of Tom Hiddleston as Loki. I don't think so, to be honest with you. But it's kind of one of those shows, too, that, you know, if you picked up, and spoilers, of course, at the end, I know people were treating
it was sad.
Well, but it really wasn't, because you realize, like, remember I told you the whole thing that the Asgardian mythology, he's become basically the world tree.
Yeah.
And one thing somebody pointed out, I don't know if it was in the first or the second Loki, there was a scene where basically Sif, you know, Jamie Alexander, Sif, remember her?
No.
Okay. The Thor's girl in the first one before he met Natalie Portman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Kind of says to him at one point, like, you know, you will die, nobody will care about you, and you will live a meaningless life. And it's kind of like something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, probably not doing a good job at it. And this is like a complete 180 to that.
Oh.
And it's actually, too, he did a different kind of inflection on it. I'm not going to jump into it. I could do a whole show just on that. Look that up and look up parallels on that. Honorable mention for me. Well, honey, what? Before I get into my honorable mention, do you agree, or did you have any other comic-related streaming shows that you preferred over Loki season 2? You liked Loki season 2, correct?
I liked Loki this season better than the first season.
Yeah, I know you didn't care
I'll
for
admit
season
that.
1.
No. I'm trying to think what other shows we even watched this year that we really enjoyed.
Comic-related shows.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I can't think of anything that really stood out to me.
Well, one I watched you didn't watch, which is my runner-up, or honorable mention, I should say, was Secret Invasion.
Yeah, no, I didn't watch that.
And this is a show that surprisingly I'm seeing in a lot of worst of lists. I really found, up until the last episode, it to be just a great espionage-related action-packed kind of a thriller of a show. I think unfortunately the finale was not great. It just kind of leaned too much on classic superhero tropes, and it basically became what it avoided the whole season, which was a giant CGI fight towards the end. Okay, streaming film. I know you saw this. Favorite comic-related film. Don't look at my list. I know that you saw this and you didn't like this, and I was trying to think of the different comic-related films of 2023, and I can only think of a handful. Most of them were not good. This was not a good year for comic-related films. I have to say, my favorite has been, or was, Guardians Volume 3.
Really?
Yeah.
That surprises me.
I thought it was incredibly heartfelt. I thought it was well done.
I don't think so.
I do think it could have done without that bubble suit scene, whatever it was.
No.
And Adam Warlock was kind of a wasted opportunity. But all in all, I thought it was a great film.
Really?
Well, what comic-related film from 2023 do you prefer?
Out of all the ones we've seen this year?
Yeah, I mean, look, we didn't, and I'll say this to everybody, we didn't see Shazam, we didn't see Flash.
Was that Batman movie
Nope.
this year?
That was last year.
It was last year? Holy cow.
There was Spider-Man,
Not Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse.
No.
I know you didn't like that one.
No.
People could see her review.
What other movie did we watch?
There was Blue Beetle, which neither of us liked.
Nope. Black Adam was this year. We didn't like that.
I even forgot about that one. Yeah, that was not good. In our opinion.
What else did we watch that you were looking forward to watching? It was like 2 hours long. Thor? No.
Thor was last year.
It was last year?
Wakanda was last year, but we saw it this year. That was it, I believe.
Wow. So, no. I can't really pinpoint any movie that I liked this year that, in terms of comic related.
Of all the comic related films that we saw this year, what was the one you hated the least? I'm not gonna even say your favorite. If you had to pick one.
Yeah, I don't really I can't even make that judgment at all because I didn't like any of them that really stood out
All right,
to
but
me.
which did you hate the least? How about that? And we haven't seen the Marvels yet. I'm cautiously optimistic with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't even say any of those movies that I at least hated.
Well, the next one, I know you're not going to like. My favorite non-comic related show that
This was comic related.
Well, it's my list.
You just told me comic related.
It's my list. My favorite non-comic related streaming show or show in general.
What?
Of 2023. It's my list. I could do it.
Yeah, okay, now there's a double standard again.
Well, there's no double. You could make a list.
You just told me comic related and you're going out of your own.
Because that was one section. Now I'm on to the next section.
Okay.
Look, you can make your own list. Make your top 10 list. We'll record it and we'll put it up tomorrow at some point. Mrs. Philtastic's favorite things 2023.
I'm not really well versed in like comic related.
I know, but it's my list, so this is what I'm doing. You can do what you want with your list. You can have a whole big list party if you want.
List party. Yeah. There's no such thing.
So yeah, my favorite. There could be.
There's no list party.
My favorite non-comic book related television show and series of 2023. She knows it already and she hates it. I can feel it. Ted Lasso season 3.
Yeah. Why would you put that on there?
It was a great series. It's
really
one
wasn't.
I've recommended
That sucks.
to people.
No.
Now, before you go into this, how much of the show did you watch?
2 episodes and I was already checked out.
So you didn't get into the core of it because at the end of the day, it's not about. It's not a show about soccer. It's one of those shows, and this is how you could see when there's a really great sports-related show or movie where you don't have to necessarily follow the sport to really enjoy it. But at the core...
It wasn't even that. It was just the whole plot was just, I thought, really boring.
I don't think you know what the plot
was. It was so boring.
No,
like,
because
I'm just sitting there, I'm like, really?
At the core, in the heart of the show, it's about basically, number one, how to be a good person, how to,
Well, you know how to be a good person.
what to do in the case of
That's from your upbringing. I mean,
adversity.
you don't have to watch a show to know that.
It's about admitting sometimes that you need help. It's about how to be a good father, I think. I think it's about just how to be a good manager, how to be a good boss, how to really just the way to be. And if you look at, there's volumes about, if you look at the characters, how they were from season 1 and how they ended in season 3, just about every major character and some of the B characters had just these great story arcs that just tied up so nicely. And just kind of like in Loki, there's always kind of hints back to the prior season or to something that happened before. Wonderfully acted, won a lot of great awards, highly entertaining. I'm on my 3rd watch through of it.
Highly entertaining. I disagree with that.
Well,
Highly entertaining.
what was your favorite?
That's your opinion.
It is my opinion. That's why it's my list.
I disagree with your opinion on that one.
Fine. But what was your favorite non-comic streaming show, or not even non-streaming, 2023? Don't say The Bachelor.
That's a good one.
Or Bachelor in Paradise.
Bachelor in Paradise. That's the most entertaining, really.
It's
No.
the most aggravating.
Hey, you watched it with me a couple episodes.
Just because they're very stupid.
That's what makes it
They're
entertaining.
very stupid. First of all, they're all lying.
Of course.
All of them. Every single one of them.
I know. Well, that's what makes it so, interesting.
Yeah, really. I mean, of the shows, because we've watched that a little bit, and we watched every single 90 Day
90
pretty much
Day.
that's come out.
Yeah.
Which basically, if you've never seen 90 Day, first of all, if you've never seen 90 Day, there's a guy this season, I swear to God, he looks like a miniature and very strange, I'll give it to, because he's not like this, version of Gary B. So
Oh, I know.
if Gary was really strange and smaller and I guess younger, it would be this guy. And I'm not even going to tell you who the guy is. You could check it out and then come back and let me know if you agree or not, just from the guy's look. Because I felt bad because I pointed that out to Gary a couple of weeks ago, and Gary does another show. And as weeks have progressed, this guy's gotten weirder and stranger. And I was like, oh, that could be an insult. So sorry about that, Gary. But that was my first reaction when I saw this guy. Which basically, if you want to summarize any 90 Day, if you've never seen it, it's basically the fact that nobody reads directions. Nobody thinks, oh, this is what this person's custom is. Nobody takes the time to learn each other's customs because everybody's like, well, how is it like you're like this in this country? Well, in my country, do it this way. And then they disagree.
I'm trying to think what other shows we watched.
Not just we, just you, if you want
Or
to.
even me. I don't even remember the name of anything I watched that I really enjoyed. I don't think I watched a show that was good,
Don't know what to tell you.
Except, comic related, I would say Loki.
Okay. So going back to the last one, you did enjoy Loki.
Yeah.
You haven't seen
This season.
You haven't seen The Boys, and you haven't seen Gen B.
No.
Finally, and this is one that you don't know. To round out my top 10 list, yeah, it's a long video. I appreciate you guys hanging in if you have already. If not, whatever. You know what? How about this? If you've made it this far in the video, before I reveal my top 10, direct message me on Instagram, and just say I made it. And I'll give you an additional entry into the 1K giveaway. That's my thank you for sticking around. So you get a chance to get 2 entries in this one video. Number 10, closing this out, is a great mini series.
Would you say it's closing time?
That's not even funny or you're just stretching it out at this point. A great mini series that gave a little bit controversial because it threw a curveball to everybody. The Closet.
The what?
The Closet from James Tynion.
Huh?
Tiny Onion.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know you never, because I remember showing you the cover of the first issue, and you were like, nope. Because it makes you think that it's a freaky paranormal monster series. But and they kind of stick with it. I'm just going to show my wife the cover to see if she remembers it, because it did come out early in the year, if I'm not mistaken.
No idea what you're talking about.
It did kind of stick with that horror trend up until the beginning of the third issue. We didn't know what was happening, but when you find out and you get the backstory of the father, and I'm trying not to ruin it. I did want to do even a whole separate episode on this, and I just haven't done it yet. Maybe I'll do that. You remember it was this cover?
Oh, yeah.
When you get to it, you realize that that's not what this was about at all. And I know that was very frustrating to some people.
Kind of reminds me of the cover to Red Door. You know that movie?
No.
It had like that same image with a red door on it.
But here's the thing, and you get all these creepy...
Yeah, that's what I was like, what is that? Is that like a horror story or...
And that's what you would assume looking at this.
Yeah, like each and every one you're showing me.
Yeah, they really leaned into it, but when you get to the end of it...
That's creepy. Why would they do that though? Because that's kind of misleading then.
Well, that's why some people were pissed about it. But when you get to the end of it, no, it's an allegory that's really eloquently done. And the only reason I haven't recommended it to you, I know, first of all, you probably would be like, this is horror, I'm not going to read it, even if I explain to you it's not horror. The reason these things are seemingly happening, I know, is something that you feel very strongly about, and it is something that's bad. Yeah, and it kind of struck a personal chord with me, because it's something that very much, or similar to, I should say, something that happened in my youth. No, I didn't have monsters thrown out of a closet, but when you take this allegory, again, it's something like this. Now she's looking at me like I have 14 heads. It hits on a different level, and just the way that they leave it, I think it's so unsettling. It's even more unsettling than if there was some sort of a creature.
Wait a minute, you said that you actually experienced this when you were a kid? Wait, I'm confused. What?
You've got to read it, honey. That's the only thing I could tell you, because I can't spoil it.
You never mentioned any of this to me until today, so I have no clue.
Because like I said, it's something that I necessarily wouldn't recommend to you, because I know that you get anxiety, and I know that...
Anxiety?
Well, I know that without talking about what we have been through before, yeah. I'm going to tell you something. It's not that.
Okay.
But if you read the beginning of the third issue, I think it would click in for you. And then it really kind of, again, I'm trying not to give anything away. It's unsettling because...
You gave the other ones away.
No, I didn't.
The other stories. Yeah, you read a description of one of them.
That wasn't giving anything away. I didn't tell you the ending.
Why didn't you read the description of this one?
Because the description, they didn't say what it was. Mm-hmm. Because up until the beginning of that third issue, probably actually up until the end, there were people who were like, I don't know what is going to happen. What is with this creature?
So there's no description that went along with this book?
No, that's why I think, and that's one of the reasons that I loved it so much, because it was unexpected. And again, like I said, the fact that it's something that happens in everyday life that multiple people have experienced, I think is more unsettling than any creature that would jump out of your closet, any boogeyman.
Okay.
Well, honey, we're at 40 minutes.
Wow.
That is my top 10. Do you have any comments on that?
Nope.
Okay.
I'm shocked that a lot of them I don't really know or I'm familiar with, but yeah, I wasn't expecting that, because I thought it was going to go into Batman, Spider-Man, like the most popular ones, so. But
I haven't, you know what though, if you go back and look this year, I haven't read any Batman or Spider-Man in 2023. I've read a couple individual issues, let's say, but nothing.
I thought I saw like a couple of Batman and a couple of Catwoman.
Well, yeah, like I said, none of the Catwoman stories I read were
Wolverine.
Great. Ben Percy, we talked about number 1. Right.
No more? That was it?
No.
Mm.
Well, tell me what you thought of my top 10. Again, these are just my favorite things. They don't have to be your favorite things, but I always like, always like reading your comments. Give me your opinion. Remember, you have 2 chances to win an entry into the 1K giveaway, and I intend on doing an update about that maybe later this upcoming week. Well, thanks for giving me a little bit of your time, probably more than I wanted to and planned to, but I appreciate you sticking around. And whether you're watching this at the end of 2023 or maybe into early 2024, or maybe even centuries from now, people uncover this, like as part of this lost civilization. Like, who's this jerk off in his living room with his hat talking to his gorgeous wife? Whenever you are watching this, wherever you're watching this, I sincerely hope that you have a very happy new year, and that you have a safe and productive new year as well. Thanks again for watching. Peace, love, and comics. Take care.